Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alana and I have been a digital nomad for the last year and a half. And based on my lifestyle, I think a lot of people assume that anxiety or travel anxiety just isn't something that I deal with because I'm out here just doing the thing. But in reality, anxiety is something that I have had to work hard on to be able to live the life that I'm living now. Specifically, travel anxiety. Now, travel anxiety can stem from a lot of different things in your travels, like flight cancellations or no hotel or rental car availabilities or sudden change of plans due to unexpected circumstances. There's a lot of reasons that travel anxiety can arise. And in this video, I want to talk about different ways that I have found to help deal with and work through this travel anxiety instead of letting it stop me. So tip number one is to become more self-aware and actually notice what is it in my travel environment that is causing me to feel anxious right now. Gosh, trying to think of an example, there's too many examples. Maybe a more simple example would be your flight gets canceled. And you start to get that anxious butterfly feeling in your stomach, like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get to my destination? Like, this is gonna ruin everything. And you just spiral into that pattern of anxious thoughts. But if you have that self-awareness to recognize, oh, I'm feeling that feeling of anxiety, and this is where it's coming from. But here's the logical thing here. My flight was canceled, but there's going to be another flight, and I'm going to get to where I need to go, and eventually everything will work itself out. Me panicking about it isn't going to make it work out. Me just plowing through and finding the solution and just staying grounded is what's going to get me to the other side. So I guess having that self-awareness, but also that outer perspective to be able to look at it and say, this is just a feeling of anxiety, but this is not me, and I don't have to experience this or let this overtake my experience, if that makes sense.
If you want some guidance on how to become more self-aware, I encourage you to check out my Mind on Yoga Academy, where we look at how to use yoga as a practice to become more self-aware and use that newfound self-awareness to improve our mental health. This academy includes over 8 hours of both lectures, yoga classes, breathwork practices, and meditations to help you along your journey, as well as journaling prompts to extend your self-awareness practice onto paper. We've also just added a Facebook group to help increase community in the academy. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, be sure to check my website in the description below.
My next tip is to plan, but don't attach. Now, sometimes having a plan can actually benefit your anxiety and calm your anxiety. But sometimes if you plan too much and you attach to the plan, the plan is just like a rough sketch or an outline of what you think the future is going to be, but you don't actually know what's going to happen until you're in the present moment and in that situation. And so by having like a rough plan, but not completely attaching to it, you allow yourself to kind of go with the flow more. And that release of control a lot of times helps you release your anxiety, because anxiety can stem from that need to control, even in situations where you have no control, like flight cancellations in our last example. But if you had not attached to your plan and just gone back to that outer perspective thinking of, well, this is crappy, but I'm gonna get through it and we're gonna find a solution, that is an example of not attaching to the plan and allowing yourself to just go with the flow, which can be a very helpful tip in all areas of life with anxiety, not just travel anxiety, but you know what I mean. And my last tip is to not only release that control, but release your expectations. Again, expectations are just what you would like to happen in the future, but again, you won't know what's happening until you're in that present moment. So by creating unrealistic expectations, you're kind of just setting yourself up for disappointment. And nobody wants to go on this dream trip only to be disappointed or feel like you're wasting your time and money. So by simply looking at a travel experience as just something that's going to happen, like, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica, period. You won't know what's going to happen until you get to Costa Rica. So you can have that rough plan, but don't attach expectations to that plan or think, oh, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and find the love of my life and never come back home. I've definitely never thought of that. But yeah, don't have those expectations and By not having expectations, you are kind of helping your future self not get into that panic situation in the first place, because you don't have an expectation of how the plan is going to go, so you're not going to be sent into that downward spiral of anxiety because you're just experiencing what is in the present moment. And I think that's the most beautiful thing of travel, is travel really does force you to be in the present moment, more so than just your daily routine life, and I think that is beautiful. Now, is this a complete list of all travel anxiety tips and hacks? No. These are just the big 3 things that have helped me in my experience, but if you have anything that has helped you along your travel anxiety experience, be sure to leave that down in the comments below for all of us to read. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe down below. That really helps me out. And I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye guys!